Welcome back to Pillars of Eternity. Last time we finally delved into the Temple of Wodica, and we found that there were going to be 3 Leaden Key agents spread throughout the country. We also came to the Sanitarium to help Aloth's awakened soul problem, or at least to figure out what happened. And while here, found out that one of the Leaden Key agents is actually in the Sanitarium itself. So, we've also learned that one of the Sanitarium patients, or one of the people working in the Sanitarium, rather, may be that Leaden Key agent. But to discern that for sure, we need to speak to one of the more unstable patients. And for that, we need access to the northern ward. So we need to get that. Oh, wait. Is it possible for us to check his office for anything?
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
North Ward patient record. Usgrim. Subject is a male approximately 17 years of age, admitted for episodes of catatonia followed by occasional violent outbursts. Initial analysis of soul revealed severe fragmentation and essence deficiency. Said deficiency all but eliminates the possibility of utilizing the subject in present research. The Midnight Man. Subject is male, mid-20s. Displays acute disassociation and paranoid delusional tendencies, causing anger and extreme violence. Dangers of working with the subject preclude possibility of further use in present research. Graham. Subject is a male, approximately early 30s. Powers of speech absent, presumably as a result of the overfragmentation of his soul. As such, he is the ideal subject for present research. However, experimentation has caused severe pain and induced panic, and I have had to enlist the aid of the guards in transporting him for more recent procedures. The Pale Lady. Subject is female, mid-40s, awakened to a past life as a serial murderer, which now frequently emerges as the soul's dominant personality. Subject vacillates between violence and severe depression, resulting from guilt of past deeds. Let's take the North Ward record. And we have notes, so we may actually be able to go see the head. Without having to convince him into letting us into the North Ward. I don't want to deal with the serial murderer awakened soul.
Welcome!
Really? Maybe it means we have that to hold against him, which is probably going to make him attack us. I hate playing in windowed mode, but it's kind of necessary.
What is it now?
Okay, so I need to...
I'm here.
Perception hood brings us to 12. And Blaskin brings us to 15.
What?
Your forehead seems damp all of a sudden. Perhaps I should discuss your insubordination with the head warden.
You smug cretin. How dare you come down here and meddle? You have no idea the importance of my research.
He balls up his fist and digs his teeth into his index finger, a growl simmering beneath his breath and a deep scowl compressing his face.
Fine. Speak to them for all the good it'll do you. I'm sure the discussions will be fascinating.
He pulls a heavy key from one of his pockets and nearly slams it down on the floor before handing it to you.
Hey. Of course.
Right. So we need to see... Rom, is it? Graham. Not King Graham, of course. That's a different game. Is this my face? Tell me. This man has the look in his eyes of a hunted animal, and at your approach, he staggered backward into the far corner of his cell, halfway appearing as though he would climb the walls if it would get him further away from you. He cries out, a bizarre, primal utterance like nothing you've heard. I need to ask you some questions. Graham looks at you blankly. It's unclear whether he understands you or not, but his panic has momentarily subsided. He opens his mouth to speak, but the words that come out are half-formed, as though his tongue were cut out. They are impossible for you to discern, if indeed they are words at all. Kana winces. I don't think he can speak anymore. Not in words, at least. This is monstrous. Put the hood back on, I guess. I still have the Blaskin buff. You're afraid. Do certain visitors make you afraid? He looks at you with uncertainty. Slowly, tentatively, he steps closer to the front of his cell, and as he does so, for the first time you can perceive his soul within your ken. It is misshapen, as though maimed by some jagged instrument, and large expanses of it have been gouged out entirely. You feel no barriers of resistance. If you wanted to, you could look further into Graham's soul. Let's do that. You project out toward the maimed soul in front of you, merging with it. Its confusion and fear becoming yours as it whisks you into its depths. You're in your cell. A key turns. The door breaks open on neglected hinges. Thoughts come to you in waves, incomplete, broken, fearful. Standing at the door is a rotund, balding man. His upper teeth and pointy nose remind you of a rat. He beckons, apologetic. You don't want to go. Anything else. In your mind is a single word, and the word is no, but it dissolves before it reaches your lips. You press against the back wall, cornered. You cry out. In darkness, you fight against unseen restraints. You cannot move your arms or legs. The man walks into the room carrying a lit candle, its meager flame casting long shadows across books and machinery. Straps bind your arms and legs. Cold metal circumscribes the crown of your head and the breadth of your chest. The man is sorry. He is in need of raw materials. They dismantled his work and he needs another source. He needs to show them he was right. He thanks you. He then turns a knob and you feel yourself begin to crack from within, and you can feel pieces of you torn away, like having your insides chewed by a horde of rats, and you're screaming a scream you can barely hear. Continue searching. Another night. Heavy footsteps outside your door, coming for you. You look through a slit in your door. The flesh giant, the artificial being just outside, but facing left, facing the end of your hall. The boy there. The boy looks with interest at the giant, then collapses to the floor like a shed snakeskin. The giant convulses for a moment, then rights itself, turns away, and leaves. Graham looks at you, still wide-eyed, but somehow more present. He nods at you, then walks back to the end of his cell. Speak to the patient at the end of the hall.
Hey.
These poor people. This isn't the treatment that they were promised upstairs by the cushioned seats and lush carpets. Is that the cure for soul sickness? To be thrown into a cell and subjected to the whims of your captor?
I doubt the wealthier citizens have the same experience. I'm sure they have their share of family members they'd rather forget. But if all were treated like this, the sanitarium would never survive. What did these patients do to warrant such conditions? There are just as many who would come here and are cured of their ills, people who would otherwise be cast aside. I hope so. You're probably right. It's just hard to see. Let's be on our way. This peace gnaws at the soul. A willowy adolescent boy stands in the center of his cell, gawkish and stoop-shouldered. He stares straight ahead, the occasional blink his only movement, and it is unclear whether he registers your presence at all behind his glassy, doll-like eyes. In this state, the barriers between your soul and his are thin and porous, easily bypassed if you should wish it. You close your eyes and edge toward the boy's soul, and as you near, a sudden malaise comes over you. You are cold and warm all at once, sweating and shivering and straining for breath as you did on the caravan journey. The soul you approach is the wrong one, a parasitic plant that strangles its host. It is predatory and pitiless, and you have crossed paths with it before. Too late does it occur to you to retract, and already you feel yourself plunging into some interminable abyss of thought and memory. You're standing in a cell now. The same cell, the sanitarium. The halls are moonlit and empty, and you are waiting. At the end of the ward, the door opens, revealing a flesh golem in silhouette beneath the stone archway. It makes its usual rounds, the same stops every time, the misbegotten child of despondent creators. When the construct is close, you coil yourself up and spring forward, passing out of the boy's body as if it were a membrane. You can sense his body behind you collapsing to the floor, a puppet whose strings are cut. You are rushing toward the golem now, bodiless as a gust of wind. Quickly, you think to yourself, quickly, and you feel the strength hemorrhaging from your soul as you dart towards the makeshift abomination. You pass into the golem's shell and overtake the soul implanted within, encircling it, suppressing it, and contained in this new vessel you are strong again. You step heavy-footed down corridors unheeded by the other constructs and scrutinized only by the wary, untrustworthy eyes of the mad, coming at last to an office piled with books and scribbled papers and the perverse implements of animancy. You set your oversized hands upon a large machine, a nest of globes and tubes and coils in the center of the room, and go to work, bending wires and unsettling alignments. Your surroundings are pulled past you, or perhaps you are pulled past them, and they dissolve into a blur. When they settle into place again, you're outside on a clear day, standing in front of a crowd stacked high above you on the tiered seats of an amphitheater. You are acting for the crowd, standing deliberately still, but this is no play. A balding man with rodent-like features is strapping you to a machine, the one you had tampered with. You see your arms for the first time, short and fleshy, unmistakably those of a little girl, but this body is not truly yours. Your mind still holds the same determination, the same hard-heartedness as before. The body itself is cold and vacuous. Unlike the others, this one has no soul of its own. The man speaks, and the crowd applauds with an enthusiasm worthy of a hero's entrance. "Bear witness," he says, and pulls a lever. The machine shivers and sparks, and a bead of sweat rolls down the side of the man's brow, but the crowd's apprehension quickly gives way to awe as a crystal globe fills with a radiant mist that casts the entire theater aglow. He opens a valve, and the globe crawls through a tube along a length of copper wiring that runs to a set of electrodes beneath your armpits. You feel nothing when it reaches you, as it should be, for you have been leading his work astray periodically for some time, altering notes and settings and playing puppeteer for Hollowborn. But you make it look how people would expect it to look when a body is infused with the soul. In a moment, the machine goes dark, and the man unstraps you, eyeing you with a scientist's concern. He looks back up at the crowd. "Behold," he says, but there is obvious hesitation in his voice. Slowly, you take a plodding step forward, then another and another. You look up at the man, giving him the eye contact of which no Hollowborn is capable, and the crowd gasps. The man looks relieved. "How do you feel?" he asks at a volume meant for the crowd, and this is the moment. At the top of your lungs, you let out a piercing shriek. The man comes toward you, his arms outstretched, but you run the other way, back to the machine. With all your strength, you drive your head into the crystal globe and it shatters, streaking your head with warm blood. You drive your head down onto the surface of the machine again and again, drawing panicked screams from the crowd. And by the time the man reaches you, your body has already ceased proper function and merely twitches on the cold ground. Satisfied, you depart the corpse in search of another unsuspecting host. Who could put their faith in Animancy now? You are pulled again from your surroundings, transcending the boundaries of memories and lifetimes, deeper and deeper past betrayals and murders and lies upon lies that form the thick webbing of plots beyond mortal comprehension. You settle at last on a room you have seen before, expansive, with a tall device encasing an Audra monolith at its center. The room is filled with people, and the people all look at the device. You're yanked suddenly back to reality, and the once catatonic boy in the cell is looking directly at you, appraising, calculating. There's no mistaking now that it is the soul of the man who has caused your awakening that gazes out from the borrowed husk. A watcher. Not just a watcher, someone who'll break those frail little legs of yours if you don't do exactly what I tell you, because you made me this. No. You made me into a watcher. I need you to undo it. Is that so? He makes no effort to hide his disinterest, but he continues to search your eyes. He makes a slight grunting noise, and his eyes soften for an instant, and it seems, for that moment, that he recognizes you. He opens his mouth to speak, then seems to think better of what he was about to say. His jaw tightens. I know your look. You hunger for answers that elude you. It gnaws at your soul. It usurps your reason for being. You are like everyone. I will help you let go. He dodges backward with startling grace, putting himself out of reach. On his face there is no malice, only the dispassion of a farmer putting down a sick animal. Then suddenly, he slumps forward. Oh. This is suboptimal. This is suboptimal.
That wasn't true. Would.
This is going to be a hard one to explain.
That's it! Of course.
Oh dear. Hana gained a level. I feel like I should at least put everything to level 3, because that seems to be the most common check level. Oh, I've learned all the level 1 spells. To get 2 spells. Oh, level 5. Spirit Lance, Summon Weapon, Spirit Lance, no. Torrent of Flame. No, that's not an enemy only AoE, so. Bitter Mooring. Afflicted with a Stuck Affliction. An anchor for a frigid ray of energy from the wizard that does freeze damage to creatures. Again, I think that one is gonna have friendly fire. Wondrous Torment drains the target's resolve, intellect, and perception, creating 2 less powerful versions of the effect. Okay, that's good crowd control. Lengrath's Safeguard activates when the caster hits 50% endurance. They immediately knock all close enemies prone while gaining a damage reduction in. Alright. Oh, I get Spell Mastery. Mastering a spell allows a free use of that spell once per encounter. Oh. Okay. Let's go for Ghost Blades. That's awesome. Oh, right, there's the other construct. Oh god, is everyone in the main aggressive?
You're not getting through me.
How is this area? Oh, that is an awesome tonal.
Sacre tu!
Hey,
Kana's turn to level up. Lore, I guess. And athletics. Mythfire. Burning effect on ally weapons. 7 men. Bonus to freeze and shock damage reduction. A hazard field causing burn and slash damage. And increased deflection. Okay, let's go for the burn and slash damage.
hey.
Oh.
Wait.
They turn into wicks. What have you done? You've been experimenting on patients against their wills, mingling their souls. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. Azo's face drains of what little color it had. How could you possibly? Look, it had to be done. Ethelmore and the others, they took everything from me. Everything when I was this close. I had to know where I failed and why. Imagine the value if I succeeded. I had something that could make all these hollow infants into something like a real person. And with a few more patrons and a few more years' research, who knows? No one has ever come that close with a legacy. That's why I have to continue. Why I have to risk everything working here in secret. It's why you have to lie to Ethelmore for me. Tell me you've cleared me of all suspicion. I'm going to expose you for what you are.
Then I can't let you get in my way either.
Wait.
That one hits through.
As his research journal and the same patient record.
Wait.
Of course. These constructs are going to be a danger to whoever comes down here next. So.
Lava.
Wait.
I'll do what has to be done.
That one hit true.
Wait, what's in here? A library? Huh. That's everything in the main area. Getting out of here. It's not safe anymore. What the blazes happened down there? You were given permission to ask questions. It's complicated. A patient of yours, Usgrim, was working for the Leaden Key, only without knowing it. You finish your explanation, and Ethelmore breaks his silence. I have read accounts of people in history who could do what you describe. The accounts are few and brief and never reliable. Some go as far as to suggest that they are all the same person. If truly such a person was here among us, plotting our ruin, would that I had a body again and could be of some real use in our time of need. I fear what the future may hold for this place. I am grateful you were able to dispatch the threat before there was loss of innocent life. We very nearly had another scandal on our hands. And what of Azo? What part did his experience play in the catastrophe? I confronted Azo. He attacked me, and so I was forced to kill him. He groans in disgust. Such a waste. There was none more gifted working here. In time, I had hoped to rehabilitate his image, but a mind like his, so full of ideas, leaves little room for patience. I would inquire more into the matter, but in truth you have done this institution a favor. Were his transgressions ever to reach the public, there would be a terrible uproar. I was blind to have trusted him a second time. His tone takes an ominous quality that reverberates all around you. I trust you will be more cautious in future inquiries.
Hail, traveler!
Alright. The Man Who Waits completed. So that leaves Heritage Hill and the Deerford one. Doing Heritage Hill's Tower should give me the experience needed to give the full party a level. And then from there, I think I can actually take on the Dweller. Let's use the travel point. Oh!
Well met, friend.
Beg your pardon. I have a message for you. You were summoned to Hadrat House, where Lady Webb wishes to meet with you as soon as possible. Not much you can do in these parts without Lady Webb knowing about it. At least that's what I've always heard. Guess it's true. How did you know where to find me? Well, it's Lady Webb. She knows everything. Can you tell me about her? Do you not know Lady Webb? She's... well, no one's seen her exactly in a long time, but she's the mistress of Dunrid Row. Has been for as long as anyone can remember. He pauses, eyeing passers-by with suspicion. Quietly, he continues, she's supposed to be old, older than anybody, and she never leaves her room. Some say she's wasted away, and she's just a pile of bones kept animated by dark magics. She's still at it, best as anyone can tell, learning things, keeping us safe, pulling the strings behind the throne too, it's said. Has a ring of ciphers doing her bidding, telling her everything that goes on. You do wrong in this country before you go asking the gods for forgiveness. Best you ask Lady Webb first. What is Dunrid Row? A whole mess of ciphers run out of Hadrat House. They make it their business to keep the peace, but they don't like you to see them do it. Problems in this city have a way of going away on their own, and when that happens, you can make a pretty good guess as to why. Very well. I was wondering about her before, and tried to talk to her multiple times. As you near the apparition, you are overcome suddenly by a powerful anxiety that sits like a stone in your stomach. The feeling is not quite real, the recollection of an emotion rather than the emotion itself. It wrenches your insides nevertheless. The apparition's brow is tensed, a look of concern plain across its face.
The other missionaries say you have been neglectful of your duties.
They lie.
They speak out of concern for you. Now tell me, is there something to their concerns?
Forgive me, Eminence. I wish to leave the Order.
You have been an apt student, and your convictions have inspired those around you. May I ask what has changed to make you feel this way?
The people we intended to convert, they committed unspeakable acts, sacrifices, mutilations.
These are the ways of the heathen world.
Surely the gods would do better to destroy us all and start anew.
Perhaps they would. It may come to that one day. This is why we must not fail. The heathens are beyond the gods' reach. They do not know better. We are tasked with delivering them to the gods, so that the gods may heal their souls.
Is such a thing possible?
I have seen it with my own eyes. You will see it too, if you choose to remain. There is no greater calling than the one we have chosen. Neither words, nor wealth, nor battle will end this suffering. Only the gods. Will you give them that chance?
I will. I don't see a reason to wait on this since we are in the neighborhood after all. Did we gain reputation? Defiance Bay hero. Huh. Lady Webb will see you now. This woman clutches a thick stack of parchment with spindly, wrinkled fingers, their flesh stretched thin to near translucence with extreme age. A gossamer veil over pale blue veins. Ink splotches and candle burns dot and stripe her hands like a quilt patterned after some great indescribable truth. She does not look up from her reading.
So, the messenger conveyed my summons. A miracle that would make the reincarnation of Aothis look like a child's cantrip, surely. It doesn't draw the most inspired minds, messaging. They failed me so many times of late, I nearly sent a cipher after you instead. So this is the Watcher who took over Cad Noir. Oh, don't look so surprised. It isn't an attractive expression. I wouldn't be where I am for long if I let details like that escape me.
This is exactly what I would picture Aloth's mother to be
and
like.
this fiasco in the sanitarium that you seem to have gotten yourself into the middle of. What in blazes possessed you to stir that nest of trouble?
It was a personal matter.
A personal matter that has you tracing the footsteps of the Leaden Key. Must be some problem you have. You're not the only one with an interest in their recent activities. I've lost 4 ciphers this year alone trying to get someone inside their ranks. As it is, we only have our suspicions about who is in the group and what they intend. Which I suppose means we have much in common with them. I asked you here because I wanted to know what your interest was in all of this. I thought perhaps we might help each other. Why are you looking for the Leaden Key?
One of their members caused my soul to awaken. I need him to reverse it. She closes her eyes and the lids flicker. Then her face goes still and her mouth parts, little more than a sliver, and her hand briefly drops open, spilling some of her parchment to the ground, the pages wafting around her legs like the leaves of a dying tree. Her fleshy eyelids peel back and her gaze is immediately upon you.
The gods are cruel, I'm afraid. The man you seek is Theos Ix Arcanon, Grand Master of the Leaden Key. One of the most elusive and dangerous men Eora has ever known.
How do you know I seek Taos?
Because you have seen his face, and that makes it a simple matter for me to see it. You even happened to catch him in his ceremonial garb, it seems. Must have been a special occasion.
What can you tell me about him?
More than most, though very few would know so much as his name. And there is no way of knowing how much of what I've read is true. The Leaden Key dates back more than 2,000 years. If rumors are to be believed, Theos was the one
Theos,
who
not
created
Taos.
it. What scraps of evidence exist suggest that he has died many times, only to be reborn each time exactly the same man. Awakened during adolescence with all the knowledge and experience of all his lifetimes. The plots he orchestrates sometimes take hundreds of years to bear fruit. Needless to say, this is not the natural order of things. But he is said to be one of Woodica's favored, and that old bat was never one to let rules get in the way of favoritism. That may also explain another supposed gift of his. His body is no boundary to his soul, and he is known to take possession of others, if their souls are weak enough. Often it is for elaborate deceptions, but sometimes he simply forces them to kill themselves. He is not known for his generous supply of pity. He is also not one to show himself in any but their most critical matters. If he has directly involved himself in whatever the group plots now, it may be your only chance to find him. And once you do find him, if you can find him, I would not hold my hopes too high if I were you. He is a driven, single-minded man. He will not have the slightest concern for your problems.
What do you want from me?
Keep me informed. The Leaden Key has been busy lately, and that is distressing news. I can only guess as to what they intend. You seem to have a knack for turning the stones they've crawled beneath. Keep turning them. Dunreed Row will not stop you. Whatever it is they're up to, figuring it out will be of great use to both of us. In your case, it will surely point you to Theos. In return, I will share our knowledge with you as we learn it, and provide you with what assistance I can.
And if I refuse?
Then you would look foolish because it is a standing offer. There is no need to refuse. If you find your trail has run cold, come to me with whatever you have. There is much I may be able to do for you.
There's something I can tell you about the Leaden Key's
Well,
operations.
let's hear it.
I found Theos in Brackenbury's sanitarium impersonating a patient. He was trying to damage the public's opinions of animancy.
Forgive me. It is unlike Theos to leave witnesses. He must be furious. He did not aid you as you'd hoped, I take it? Well, take heart. With any luck, when he has finished his business, he will surely come and find you again, if only to kill you while you sleep. This news of yours makes sense, of course. To dabble in animancy is to puzzle over the secrets of the gods. This would not be the Leaden Key's first action against it. But if this is connected to their other activities, we may be in for something on a much larger scale. If we can learn more about their goals and methods, perhaps we can get the palace behind us. With Avar's support, we may be able to put a stop to this.
That's all for now. This progress is encouraging. I only hope that it's not too late. How do you know so much about Theos?
The same way I come by all my knowledge. Exhaustive research, spying, bribery, perhaps some less savory measures. Whatever the knowledge demands, I pay in full. There is nothing of greater value. Unfortunately, with Theos, there is also nothing more scarce. He has covered his tracks far too well. His manipulations of the course of history are lost to time now, though I believe they were many. Yes?
Farewell.
Try your best not to die out there.
Aloth gains a level. Boom, 8 mechanics. I guess you take Lingrath's Safeguard and Wall of Force? Oh, it leaves allies unscathed. Yeah, take Wall of Force. And you master minor missiles. Alright. So now we know who exactly we're up against. Which is very good. So let's go ahead and head on to Heritage Hill. Head back to Heritage Hill. I feel like I've said this so many times, but I am loving this game. CRPGs used to be, like, completely beyond me, but this game makes sense to me compared to, like, Baldur's Gate. Oh, Sagani and Durance also have levels. Alright, Durance. Give you athletics, I guess. And you get a mastery. Let's go for halt. And you get... Ooh. Revive the... Oh, he has a second chance spell now. Oh, that doesn't get rid of injuries, but that is so good. And Sagani. Vicious aim mode, arrow sense, plus 15 deflection, binding roots, stuck on an enemy, 5 per rest, takedown, stalker's link, defensive bond. Let's go for a takedown. Speak the words you learned from the Leaden Key Acolyte. You hear rumbles and clanks from hidden tumblers as the door unlocks. And of course, there are vessels here.
That one hit true.
Veles, Elmes, Metu.
Crumpled page from Aldem's journal and Trindig's letter. Dearest Mother and Father, you will be pleased to hear that I've learned so much already since coming to the city. There are many incredible ruins nearby, and Master Greg has allowed me to accompany him on a number of expeditions. I'm writing to you from inside an ancient Ingwithan tower. There's an entire district built up around it, but the locals have mostly left the tower untouched. They've let us set up temporary living quarters here so our work can continue uninterrupted. It is an unsettling place at times, but Master Greg has been a constant comfort, and he is quick to remind me that the things we learn from this tower may one day help us find a cure for Wyron's legacy. I'd better get some rest now. Mr. Greg likes to get an early start to the day. Day 7. A week of study and we're still none the wiser about this device. Trindig remains optimistic. I don't know what I'd do without his spirit. Shh. Let's do stealth for finding traps.
Lava. That's
How much money do I have now? 54, nearly 55k. Nice.
I wonder what this is.
That one hit true.
Parathis!
God, this is so good. I love stomping things. Potion of Power. Page from Aldem's journal. Day 2. We've completed our measurements of the machine thanks to Trindig's youthful agility. Further examination is required to discover its intended uses. Wonder how many floors there are to this thing. Scroll of Paralysis. Wow.
That one hit true.
Batman schools. Gargoyle.
That's for my friends.
The Gargoyle is the closest threat in here.
Of course.
Page from Aldem's journal. Day 11. Finally got out of the tower to clear our heads. Beasts take the patrons. We'll finish the study on our own terms, our own time. Just as I said as much to Trindig, the sky came to life with stray lightning. I said it's a good omen, but the poor lad's spooked. Only cure for that is a good night's sleep.
Parathis! Wayfair, Selmes, Metu.
Sigil of the Arcane. Spellbind of Arcane Dampener. Intellect +1. And letter from Ikantha. Aldum, as I did indeed receive your recent summons, as well as the two that came before it, I had been waiting for you to present yourself on my doorstep so that I could give you my answer in person, a firm and unwavering no. I won't help you. In fact, I relish the idea of you and your team of glorified engineers sitting in that tower, sweating over the runes I'd studied for years. Nothing gives me greater pleasure than knowing that my research, which you've long disparaged, is the missing piece in your mundane little puzzle. As you well know, it's knowledge I've always valued. I'm just around the corner. I encourage you to find me should you wish to rehash this conversation in person. Burst of Summer Flame. Page from Aldum's journal. Day 10. Patrons grow impatient with the lack of quantifiable results. They should drag themselves out of their mansions and spend a few nights here if they think it's so easy. The writing in this game is very witty. I do enjoy it quite a bit. Peak of the tower. Oh, I like the skybox or background. Aldum?
Let's try this configuration. Still nothing. Confounded device.
A man hunches over the strange mechanism, his spine a sharp ridge rising from his arched back. He's barely clothed in filthy rags, and the patches of skin you see are mottled green. A spoiled stench emanates from him. He's so intent on his work that he doesn't notice you until your shadow falls over him. When he turns and sees you, he snarls and scuttles behind the Audra pedestal. Only his bared teeth seem to have escaped decay. His eyes are yellowed and bloodshot, but they flicker with intelligence. He averts his gaze and holds a hand in front of his face.
Shouldn't be here. What do you want?
Who and what are you?
15 years at Brackenbury. 7 tours to the ruins beyond Solace Vale. I'm an animancer. Still an animancer.
His gaze lights on the Audra post with sudden recognition. He starts to turn back to the copper dials. Tell me what happened here.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
He smashes a fist into the Audra pillar. His hand makes a crunching noise but doesn't bleed.
Forgive me. Forgive me. Research. We came to do research. On the tower. Some commission from gods. It hardly matters now.
Aelost's lips twist in disgust. If I had a copper skate for every fool animancer whose thirst for knowledge led to a disaster, well, I never would have ended up in Gilded Vale, that's for sure. Whatever happened, I just need you to give me the facts. Please.
Something happened on our 11th night. Lights in the sky and a static charge in the air. But we were so careful. We were staying in the chambers below. Trindig, my assistant, said he saw a robed figure lurking around the tower. Wore a mask. Carried knives at his sides. A trick of shadows, I told him. The next morning, we felt strange. Like we hadn't eaten in weeks. So dazed that we didn't at first notice the blood around our beds. The strange wounds that had appeared overnight. And the machine. This cursed spire. Dormant for 2,000 years. Lifeless through hundreds of our experiments. And we wake that morning to find it spinning on its own. On its own! How can we stop what we couldn't start?
As exciting as the prospect of a living machine may be, I suspect that, given mention of a machine and a masked figure both, There's another explanation.
Years I've been doing this. Years. I know how these things work, but I don't know how this happened. Nowhere to go. That's the problem. Their souls are trapped here like flies in a jar, clinging to rotting meat.
Slow down. What does the machine have to do with souls?
No time to slow down. But I can explain. Hold a magnet over iron splinters and they stick, yes? Rub your hand over weir wool and the hair of your head will follow it. So it is with this machine.
He looks at you and runs his tongue along the edges of his fine, strong teeth. He quickly looks away.
It has the power to manipulate souls, but why? For what? And how many others lie buried in the ruins of Erglonfoth? No. Focus on this one. It's imprisoned our souls in our bodies. Cut the root between essence and flesh. Left a dwindling soul stuck in a shriveling husk.
How can I help?
Not your help I need. It's Harridan, shrew. Squanders her research on frivolities, then refuses to make herself useful. Runes. The runes are the last part of the puzzle. Acantha knows them. She gives them to you, and you can turn the machine off. Release our souls.
Wait, runes? The Engwithan runes? She can read them? He speaks of this feat so blandly. Let's talk instead to this Harridan, Hana. I'd pick her thoughts at a time. She wasn't here the night the machine came on, staying with her patron somewhere near. Too good to be burdened with their ignorant company. You're not like the ghouls in the street.
Not yet. But I will be. My body is dead. My soul, imprisoned in this corpse, only makes it seem otherwise. And as the body decays, so does the mind. Until nothing is left but the hunger. The only way to forestall the process is through a regular infusion of essence. Living flesh is the only ready supply. I'm not proud of any of it. Hunting men and women in the early days of the affliction. Picking off soldiers that came to investigate. But I'd do it again. I'll do it as long as I must to end this disaster. You could help. Help me end this. Help me find sustenance.
If Acantha knows the control words, then I don't see why I need your help.
Help! I help you, yes. You bring me the words and something to keep me strong. Then I show you a secret about the machine. Something to make you strong. Acantha was here, in Heritage Hill. Must be here still. Clever lady, that one.
Will he accept Dorrance?
Hey,
Later. Let's head back down. Look for Acantha. Then put down the ghoul. Oh, that was an alternate ending to that task with the kid. Oh. Hana's house, I guess? How did I not check here before? Bonuses. Welcome to bonus game. A woman bends over a roaring fireplace, feeding a splintered chair leg to it. As you get closer, you notice something unnatural about her. A certain pallor to her skin, a lack of movement beneath her flesh, even while her arms execute deft, efficient movements. And then you see the puckered flesh, ragged and bloodless over her heart. Unnatural creature. We should correct it. Send it scampering back to the foulest depths of animancy from whence it came.
It's rude to stare, you know. Don't worry. I've no mind to start anything with you. After all, I've stayed in such good shape by choosing my meals carefully.
I saw you in a vision. There's something you need to do for me?
Believe me, I've heard that line before.
I need the words that operate the Ingwithan machine in the tower.
That fool Aldhelm. He sent you, didn't he? I can hardly believe he's had the cleverness to survive. That simpleton thinks he can understand how to use something without understanding what it is, or why it is.
You feel a hot core of pride smoldering at the center of her soul.
He dabbles with ancient and powerful devices, with all the finesse of a blacksmith. He sends you here to petition me for aid after years of disparaging my research. I'll bet he didn't even tell you the tower's name, did he? That's his problem. Always looking for solutions without caring for meaning.
Tell me the tower's name.
Ter Nuneth. It's called Ter Nuneth. They built the machine atop it to contain souls, hold them in place. But the others I've seen, machines scattered all over the Dyrwood, are relays, built to move souls.
Why would the Ingwithans have wanted to tether souls like this?
Perhaps they didn't. Perhaps that's why they built no other machines like this one. We now see the Ingwithans as masters of soul manipulation, but they couldn't have attained their expertise without copious trial and error. Perhaps this was one such experiment.
You seem to know a lot about Ter Noenth.
I read the runes like a journal. I understand their meaning. People like Aldhelm try to read them like instructions, and in so doing, they miss their true meaning completely.
Where would they move souls?
Another mystery. Hypothetically, anywhere they wished. The real question, as always, is why? To intermix them the way a player shuffles his deck, the way a farmer rotates his fields? To collect them, like butterflies under glass? To melt them down for raw essence? Unfortunately, I don't know.
To infuse their souls into weapons. How do you operate the machine atop Ter Noenth?
Back to these Tinker's concerns. And what would you do with these tethered souls if I told you?
I'd release them.
So you say. And just what would you release them to? They'd abandon their existence here for another somewhere else, equally aimless and meaningless.
I could help you, but I won't. The pride lodged in her soul flares up, twisting into the shape of something that writhes and squeals within her. Here, I have specimens aplenty, and time enough to observe them all. It's every scientist's dream. My answer is no. But what good is observing all this if you're going to hoard it for yourself? Tell her, Hana. Entire language at your fingertips, and she hides it away. Extinguish her pride. The vampire doesn't seem to notice as you wrap your mind around the squalling, burning mass. However, it sears your very bones. You jump back, crying out in pain. I won't abandon this opportunity. These souls will remain here with me, and I'll accomplish more than any animator in the history of the field. And who will know about it? The pride thing flickers as the flames around it abate. All I've learned, Years of studying the Angwithan language. No one understands it better than me. That counts for something. Extinguish your pride. Your opportunities here are finite. One day that knowledge will die with you. You're wrong. There's no conviction in her voice. I'll build it forever. I'll cling to it. That will give me something. Teach me what you know. I'll make sure that it grows and your legacy lives on. Your words finally quench her pride, and all that remains is a blackened diamond-hard rock. You cast it away where it melts into the darkness.
So be it. My studies and efforts shall grow through yours. These are the words you need.
Her cold, dry fingertips rest on your temples, and you feel her reaching into your mind, forming images from the darkness. Runes flash through your head, but they're no longer just pictures. They have meaning, and you understand them. They're commands. Something triggers in your mind, and a distant memory, unearthed from a past life long since buried. You can see a vast array of runes, far more than Ikantha has shown you. You know their sound and their meaning and how they fit together, the language of Angwith once more at your command.
Something has awakened in your mind. You understand far more than I ever did. Take this knowledge, then, and do what you will with Ter Nuneth. Now that you understand its purpose, it will serve you in whatever way you wish.
A speaker of dead tongues now, and so she surpassed 100 frustrated scholars in a matter of few moments. I don't suppose you could look at a few books for me. Explain how the control words work. Harnessing the power of Ter Nuneth is about understanding what it was designed to do. You know the words and their meanings. You can speak them, and the tower shall obey. What do I do with it now that I know these words?
Turn it off, I expect. That will be easy now that you can read the runes. The vessels would still roam, but striking them down would return their essence to the cycle. But be careful. That machine controls hundreds of souls, and that volume of essence could easily overload it. Improperly channeling the essence would destroy the machine along with the souls. It would be a terrible loss for posterity.
I don't know. Destroying it seems like it might do this place some good. And of course, since you are largely at fault...
What exactly did you hope to accomplish? You and I both know I'll return...
Oh! Wait, really?
You cannot venture forth while in combat.
Hey.
I didn't know that vampires, sorry, couldn't actually be killed. That is annoying. I killed all the other undead. But no, this one is special. Fine, I'll come to finish the job if turning the machine off doesn't do it. I'm not destroying it, if I can. If I can leave an instruction manual, that would be nice. Oh, Adair has a level. Athletics. Weapon specialization, adventurer, poleaxe, S-Stock, flail, wand, warbow, no. Knight, no. Noble? Peasant. Soldier. No. Armored Grace, minus 20% armor. Speed penalty. Unbending. 3 per rest. 50% of damage taken converted into healing over time. Disciplined Barrage, plus 20%. I guess go for the clear out. top. A jagged Audra pillar rises in front of you, encased in stonework and run through with copper veins. The panel is covered with runes, which you can now understand. You recognize words for end and hold. The dial is currently fixed on hold. You also recognize by an inscription that the manner in which you turn the dial is a means of throttling the device. End. As the command words leave your lips, the dial sinks into the Audra under your hands. Something like a thunderclap sounds overhead. The glow fades from the machine as it falls dormant.
Still and silent. It's finally over.
As are you. And soon, so will the other who holds responsibility for this disaster. Looks like she's gone.
I'll have it in no time. The work of a moment. I'll have it in no time. The work of a moment.
You're not one of Ikantha's servants. Please, you've got to get us out of here before she feeds on us. The way to the district exit should be safe. Go now. Thank you. We'll never forget this. Spider fingers. Maybe we can tell the guards that things are done.
Gods keep you.
Oh, the tower, it's off. Does this mean the curse on Heritage Hill is lifted? It wasn't a curse, but yes, the district is safe again. I think it'll be some time before anyone will be willing to settle in the district again, but at least we can get started on restoring it. I think I gain... Yeah, I got some minor reputation. Cool. So let's go see Lady Webb. find out what assistance she can even give us would be good.
Good day to you.
Excuse me, but I've been looking for you. You're the one who lifted the curse on Heritage Hill. My lady, who wishes to remain anonymous, has entrusted me with bringing you this pistol. It belonged to a dear friend of hers who is lost to the curse. For your part in reclaiming Heritage Hill, my lady wishes you to have it. Here. May it serve you well in battle. Thank you. You are quite welcome. St. Garum Spark. Now it must be off. Farewell. Let's see, 25 to 35 pierce, accuracy against an ally attacking the same target, 25% shock damage, 60-yard bypass, lower crit damage multiplier. Wow, and this is like without a quality on it. Wow. If I really had a major pistol user. Well, honestly, this seems better overall. It doesn't have the attack speed bonus, but it has the accuracy and shock damage. I don't have the Audra to upgrade it, but let me put how much I'm enjoying this game this way. I almost wished I wasn't LPing it just so I could play it more.
How fares your search?
Something I can tell you about the Leaden Key's operations.
Well, let's hear it.
The Engwithan Tower in Heritage Hill contains an ancient machine that can control the flow of souls. The Leaden Key activated it.
This is troubling. That civilization seems to have known more about the mechanics of souls than anyone since. The Leaden Key was born in that period. It may be that Theos has full knowledge of their technology. The applications of this machine you speak of, I don't want to think about it. That isn't enough to take to the Duke, but we're close. Avar Wolfgren is a cautious man. He will want to know everything possible before being moved to action.
That's all. Alright, so next time on Pillars of Eternity, we'll be taking another trip out to the Deerford in hopes of finding the ruin we saw. See you guys then.